Hi everybody and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be reviewing the Kat Von D Lock-It Foundation and Primer. Now I did not go out and purchase them. What I did was just get Sephora samples, and I did that because I never commit to buying a product, especially a high-end product that's more pricier, if I do not try it first, because I'm very picky when it comes to foundations, and I feel like if I commit to buying something and then I turn out not liking it, I don't really live nearby to a Sephora. The Sephora I go to is about 2.5 hours away from where I live, and that's the closest one. So I know some of you could be like, you could just take it back, but I can't just take it back. It would be a trip, to take it back. So I get foundations. I get samples, and then if I like it, I just purchase it online. Now, the Lock-It Foundation. So it says about the Lock-It Foundation, it is a high pigment, full coverage foundation with a matte finish, a 24-hour wear, and a total of 30 shades. So they have a big variety of shades. It says what it does is it's 30 full coverage matte shades, renamed to include undertones for easier shade selection. Kat Von D's bestseller foundation collection has a shade to cover virtually all skin tones, from the fairest to the fair to the deepest of the deep. So it says with just one light layer, the creamy formula corrects discoloration, stops shine, and hides blemishes. Says an exclusive high-tech blend of silicone. The shade I got was in Light 45 Warm. Here it is. That's the color. Now, to me, it was a perfect color match. It matched my skin really well. And the primer it's just like white looking like this. And it says, and so the foundation retails for exactly $35. It's not too pricey. There's more high-end foundations that are pricier, but it's still a little bit pricey for something I didn't want to commit to. And so it says the Kat Von D Lock-It Hydrating Primer. This retails for $32. It says what it is, a hydrating water-based primer that's specifically designed for long-wear foundation. Lock-It Hydrating Primer is an ultra-hydrating water-based formula that preps your skin for perfect long-wear foundation application and comfortable all-day wear. It's formulated with a lightweight, milky texture that feels weightless on the skin. It is infused with nourishing ingredients including vitamin B, aloe vera, jojoba, and shea. So, stay watching and you'll see my clips of me applying it, how it works with other products, and how it wore throughout the day. So here guys, here's the primer. It is white, as you can tell. It kind of smells like rosy freshwater smell. I'm just going to be applying the primer with my fingers all over my face. The description did fit the primer well. It is very watery, very thin. Doesn't feel like silicone at all, which it's not a silicone based primer, but that's just what I was expecting. I'm just going to put an extra bit of primer where I need the foundation to stick the best. And again, I'm just going to continue putting that all on my face. So I let that sit into my skin for a few minutes, and I realized that my skin was just getting stickier, but it did not go into my pores. It didn't smooth fine lines. You could still kind of see my pores. So I'm just going to show you guys an up close of what it kind of looks like. Didn't really make a difference. Now I'm going to apply the foundation. I'm in color Light 45 Warm. It kind of smells like paint right away. That's the first thing you will notice about the foundation. I'm going to be using the Real Technique sponge to buff that into my skin. Again, just dotting it everywhere and then buffing it into the skin. Now, I kind of worked fast with this foundation because it was a thicker consistency and I didn't want it to dry patchier. I kind of wanted it to be even all over the face. But as I'm putting my first layer, I can definitely tell that it's not covering everything like a full coverage foundation, and my blemishes and red spots were still peeking through. But again, I'm just going to continue buffing that in. As I'm looking in the mirror, I definitely love the finish. My skin looks so nice, you guys. Like, it definitely didn't cover everything, but the way it sits on my skin, like, doesn't look like a full coverage foundation. It looks really pretty. Like, actually natural looking, but covering everything. So the color match was actually perfect. Now what I'm gonna go ahead and do is do my normal contour and highlighting routine and see how other products sit on top of it. Okay guys, now I'm going to be highlighting with the Maybelline Fit Me Concealer. I am in the color 15 Fair. I'm just going to be putting it over that blemish that the foundation did not cover. And I'm going to be putting it under my eyes, my chin, the bridge of my nose, and the middle of my forehead. Just the regular areas you would highlight. And now I'm going to be using the Real Techniques sponge to again blend that all out. When I was blending out the concealer, I had noticed that the foundation was kind of coming off, if that makes sense. So I just went in light-handed and buffed it out a little bit lighter. So now I'm going to be baking with the Airspun powder. And I'm just going to be taking another beauty sponge, a dry one, and applying that under my eyes, the bridge of my nose, my chin, and my forehead, the same places that we had just put the concealer. Baking is specifically made to make sure that no creases show through the day. You're just going to put extra powder, let it sit there for about 5 to 10 minutes, and then brush it off. Now I'm going to go in with my contouring palette from Wet n Wild in the color Dulce de Leche. I'm going to be using the flower angled blending brush to apply that. I'm going to be going in the darker side and just applying that on my cheekbones and buffing it out. I don't normally use cream contour. I find it easier to just use a powder contour. And then I'm going to bake under the contour after I have blended it out, just to make the contour look a little bit cleaner. Okay, so now I'm going to be using the Flower Short Kabuki brush, and I'm going to dip it into the Airspun and just set the rest of my face. And then I'm going to be going back into the contouring palette and contouring the sides of my forehead. And then I'm going to be dusting off all of the bake again with the Short Kabuki brush from Flower. So guys, this is the finished look. And it actually sits really nice on the skin, guys. I am very impressed with this foundation. Using the primer with it does make a huge difference. I love it. It's now 8:55 a.m. and I will be checking back in about 5 hours to show you guys how it's sitting on the skin still. A close-up. Guys, I love this foundation. It looks natural for being a full coverage. Like, it covered everything, but it did not sit heavy. It sits very natural looking, and I love it. So stay watching, and I will update you guys in 5 hours. Hi, so it's now 2 o'clock, and it's been about 6 hours since I first put it on, and it's definitely looking good, like on the cheek area, the forehead area, chin, and all that. I think the only problem area I'm having is my nose. I'm not sure if you guys could really see that, but the nose has definitely separated and broke apart. It's no longer really on the tip of my nose. Something I did realize with this foundation was the primer does not fill in your pores. So if I would definitely use like a silicone based primer on the bottom and then go put the Lock It primer right back on top of it. And I think that will definitely perfect it, because you can see a lot of my pores still. But I think the primer of the Lock It foundation is primarily for sticking the foundation to your face and making sure that stays all day. But yeah, the only problematic area I'm having is my nose area. So yeah, I'll check back in at the end of the day and let you know how it's lasted. Hi everybody, it's exactly 9:20. It's been about 7 hours since I last filmed and kind of showed you guys what it looks like on the skin. Now 7 hours later, 9 p.m., this is what it kind of looks like. So let me get in the light. So you could definitely see on my nose, it definitely broke apart, and under here my blemishes are showing through, especially here. And on my forehead, you guys can't really tell on the camera, but in person it kind of broke apart everywhere and kind of just broke apart everywhere. Let me see if it'll, yeah, you could just definitely see where it broke apart throughout these areas, especially right here on my forehead, or certain areas, all throughout under my nose especially. And on the description, it did say it was a 24-hour wear, and it's been exactly 13 hours since I last applied it, and it definitely is not a 24-hour wear. So the primer was definitely watery. Like I said, it was like a water-based primer, and that's just to hydrate your skin, because you're going to be applying such a matte, heavy foundation that you definitely need to hydrate on the bottom. But what I would heavily recommend, if you use the Lock It primer, before using the Lock It primer, I would go in with a silicone based primer to fill in your pores, because the Lock It primer does not fill in any of your pores. It doesn't smooth fine lines, any of that. It just hydrates your face. Now the foundation, I loved it when I first applied it. It didn't look really heavy on my face. For being a full coverage foundation, it did not look heavy. I loved the way it looked, and I loved the way it looked. The other products looked really nice on the top of it. I loved how it looked throughout the day, but kind of now, just like at the end of the day, it didn't stay as well as I thought it would. But overall, it's still a nice foundation. It looks beautiful. It's really not like an everyday foundation. It's kind of too heavy for that. I would recommend it like special occasions, or you can use it a couple of times a week if you really want, you know, the full coverage, full glam look. But I wouldn't recommend using it every day. And yeah, my overall thing is, it's a good and bad, because it didn't really last the full, like, it's barely 13 hours in and it's already breaking apart. It could also be the fact I set it with the Airspun. Maybe different powders will help it set differently, but I don't really like how it's broke apart on my nose, because like 5 to 6 hours in, my nose was already breaking apart right there, and I didn't blow my nose or anything like that today, so there's really no reason for my nose to break apart like that. Just, it came from my overall like oils breaking through. But overall, I think it's a great foundation if you use a silicone primer before, the Lock It primer before, and then the foundation, and then you set, and then I used a setting spray. So overall, it's really not worth the money you would pay for it, in my opinion. Not the full $32. It's a great foundation, do not get me wrong, but it's not worth the whole $32 you would pay each for each of it separately. I mean, I think that's a little bit ridiculous that you would have to pay $35 for a foundation and then $32 for the primer, in my opinion. For today, guys, I hope you enjoyed it. Please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and yeah, I'll see you next time.